Women in the space industry were the catalyst to the Apollo 13 program, breaking the gender barrier and reaching for the moon. They set the groundwork for future space exploration due to their roles as human computers, software engineers, and suppliers to the crewed shuttles. During the Apollo era, women made up no more than 5% of the agency's workforce, but still played critical roles. Women designed spacecrafts, calculated flight trajectories, and engineered software. They helped astronauts train, monitored vitals during spaceflight, and more. These women made NASA's Apollo 13 moon mission possible.
Few are visible in any known pictures, but really there are thousands of women who are coders, chemists, mathematicians, technicians, and even welders. For years, all female calculating teams were the heart of mathematical computations. When everything became computerized, women textile workers manually hardwire the code.
The film Hidden Figures depicts how African American women worked just as hard as their white counterparts. However, they were paid less and were restricted to the segregated west section of the Langley campus, where they had to use separate dining and bathroom facilities. They became known as the West Computers. Despite having the same education, they had to retake college courses they had already passed and were often never considered for promotions or other jobs within NACA, other known as the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics.
Mary Jackson was born and raised in Hampton, Virginia. After graduating from high school with the highest honors, she earned a dual degree in mathematics and physical science at the Hampton Institute in 1942. In 1951, she started working at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, where she was a member of its West Area Computing Unit. The West Computers, comprising of African American female mathematicians, and Jackson's supervisor was Dorothy Vaughan. The women provided data that was later essential to the early success of the U.S. space program. At the time, NACA was segregated. In 1953, Jackson left the West Computers to work for engineer Casimir Zarnicki, conducting experiments in a high-speed wind tunnel. He suggested that Jackson enter a training program that would allow her to become an engineer. Since Virginia's schools were still segregated, she had to obtain special permission to take classes with the white students. Jackson ultimately completed the necessary courses, and in 1958 she broke a barrier by becoming the first black female engineer at NASA, which had been established earlier that year. NACA had been incorporated into it.
Dorothy Vaughan was born September 20th, 1910 in Kansas City, Missouri. Dorothy studied at Wilberforce University and earned a degree in mathematics in 1929. She made important contributions to the early years of the U.S. space program. She broke both the racial and gender barrier by being the first African American manager at NACA. Dorothy performed complex computations and analyzed data for aerospace engineers. This work was essential to the later success of the space program. She led women to solve equations that would later allow us to break the barrier of space and reach the moon.
Katherine Johnson had many great moments throughout her life. In 1962, as NASA prepared for the orbital mission as part of a pre-flight checklist, Katherine said, "Get the girl." The crew did not trust machine, but trusted Katherine with their lives. Even with this, she was not recognized for her work until 2015, when President Obama gave her the Presidential Medal when she was 97. She was one of the first women to get real credit for her work.
Christine Darden was born on September 9, 1942, in Monroe, North Carolina. Darden attended Winchester Avenue High School and then transferred to Allen High School, a Methodist boarding school in Asheville, North Carolina. She graduated from Allen High School in 1958 as the class valedictorian and received a scholarship to attend Hampton Normal and Agricultural Institute. In 1962, Darden received her first bachelor's degree in mathematics and education and her teaching certification from Hampton Institute. She went on to earn her MS degree in applied mathematics from Virginia State College in 1967 and her doctorate degree in mechanical engineering with a specialty in fluid mechanics from George Washington University in 1983. After completing her master's degree program, Darden became a data analyst for NASA at its Langley Research Center. In 1973, Darden was promoted to the position of aerospace engineer, and in 1989, she was appointed as the technical leader of NASA's Sonic Boom Group of the Vehicle Integration Branch of the High-Speed Research Program, where she was responsible for developing the Sonic Boom Research Program internally at NASA. In October 1994, Darden became the Deputy Program Manager of the TU-144 Experiments Program, an element of NASA's High-Speed Research Program. In 1999, she was appointed as the Director in the Program Management Office of the Aerospace Performance Center at Langley Research.
Margaret Hamilton mainly directed the team on the onboard flight software. Hamilton's software allowed the lunar module to bypass the alarms that almost aborted the mission. Before the Apollo 11 lunar module was about to land on the moon, the computer was trying to sift a radar system. If this had happened, the mission would have been aborted, but a set of instructions took control and landed Apollo 11 on the moon. The code was developed by a team of software engineers at MIT Software Engineering Lab, led by none other than Margaret Hamilton.
Barbara Crawford Johnson was an aeronautical engineer tasked with bringing Apollo astronauts home safely during the last leg of each flight. Atmospheric re-entry in 1968, Johnson broke a career barrier and became Apollo Project Manager of Mission Requirements and Evaluation, the highest position any woman had ever held in her department, where she was in charge of more than 100 engineers working on various aspects of the Apollo missions.
When the Apollo 11 spacecraft took off on July 16, 1969, the return to Earth specialist Poppy Northcutt watched nervously. She had broken the gender barrier when she became the first woman to work in a technical role in mission control and had helped design and build an engine that would be used in the spacecraft's descent on the moon. During the mission, an unexpected challenge arose when flight control could not figure out why the craft's return trajectory was incorrect. The team looked to Northcutt to recalculate the trajectory, ensuring the crew returned safely, but Northcutt still came across many problems.
How many women coworkers are mistreated while you're working?
Mistreated? Nobody was mistreated. There was a couple of cases where they were insensitive to women in the workforce. Like they would put a undress in a poster, and that was offensive, but they didn't say anything. But like I say, it was insensitive. It was offensive to. It's not respecting the rights of the women to. They didn't feel comfortable with that kind of thing, and they were made to take it down.
Many people want to change with the women in the space industry. One woman stood out at the Kennedy Space Center, Joanne Morgan. She worked as an instruction controller for the mission. Morgan was the only woman allowed in the firing room where NASA employees were logged in during the Apollo mission. Yet Morgan still needed to get special permission to be in the room and control the test team. There were no women's restrooms, and Morgan often had to go to other buildings or ask guards to not let men in. Several men told her no women allowed, but when her director caught wind of this, she made many phone calls and promised her that she was welcome. Along with face-to-face disagreements, there were obscene calls. Roy Tharp said, "You can never pull anything over Morgan because she would cut you to pieces." Tharp recalled, "She was a super smart kid. Morgan skipped the first grade and was a bookworm. From a young age, Morgan showed interest in chemistry. From 1958 to 2003, she continued to break barriers and became the first female senior executive at Kennedy Space Center. Many other women worked hard for the landing of the Apollo, and many women are still working hard to this day."
"I think we should celebrate the strides, but realize we have some distance to go," said Garver. "We are 1/2 of the population, but only 1/3 of the NASA workforce. Women have come so far and are still continuing to pursue their beliefs. Your voice has value. Value it," said Janet Sellers, head of Langley Equal Opportunity. "Employees could take away that, but no matter the distance remains, it pays to have an equal view."